Welcome to Old Grump's Garage. Okay, so what exactly is this? It's a 1968 International Harvester Scout 800 pickup. International Harvester began building trucks and pickups around 1907, and along about 1953 they added a truck-based, we'll call it SUV vehicle in modern day terms, which they called the Travelall. In 1960 they introduced the Scout 80, which was designed to compete with the Jeep CJ. International manufactured various models of the Scout from 1960 to 1980. And during that time, they produced 532,674 units. This is the Scout 800, which was like a second gen of the original Scout. The Scout 800 was offered with a 196 cubic inch four-banger or a 232 cubic inch inline six. In 1967, they introduced a 266 cubic inch V8 along with a 152 cubic inch four-banger that was either naturally aspirated or could be turbocharged. Fold-down windows were an option on this model, but because they weren't advertised, they were very few ordered and have become one of the rarest Scouts when you're looking at the market. Scouts are pretty hard to come by to start with, parts are pretty hard to come by, but a Scout with fold-down windshield is probably the hardest thing to come by. The Scout 800 was available in three configurations. The Travel Top Utility, which would have a roof that comes across the cab all the way back to the tailgate. The Utility Roadster, and the Pickup, which is what we have here. It is a removable hardtop, single layer, and there's a canvas top option that can be put on it. Again, because it doesn't have the fold-down windshield, when you remove the top, you have a stand-up windshield and a frameless door. The vent window is the only frame on it. The roll-down window, the frame goes down with the glass, so when the top's off and you have the windows rolled down, it's basically frameless, cabless vehicle. This is all-wheel drive and manual transmission. So we're going to work on a list of grocery items, and I'm going to let you guys follow along. First thing the Scout's got an issue with is the headlights don't work. One parking light works, the other one doesn't. Both headlights don't come on at all. Tail light seems to function just fine. Pretty cool little vehicle. Got the little four-cylinder engine in it. Starts, runs, and drives. Gets along real well. It's still got the old vacuum-assisted windshield wipers, and if you've ever dealt with vacuum windshield wipers, you already know where that goes. They work very poorly at slow speeds and marginally at highway speeds, and yeah. So we're going to look into replacing those with electric. Speedometer doesn't work, odometer doesn't work, fuel gauge doesn't work, oil pressure gauge doesn't work. But the interior is looking pretty good. No rips in the seat. Could use some reupholster on the sun visors, but there's no rust in the roof. It looks pretty good. Looks like at some point recently somebody has replaced the rear window and seal. The paint looks pretty good. These came with dual tanks. This currently has filler necks on both sides, but there's only one tank in it. And the muffler's got a hole in it. But pretty cool vehicle. The bed floor needs a little attention. Somebody's done some, I guess, just painting at it. So we'll be addressing a little sheet metal back here. Basically, I think we can clean up the rust. None of it is penetrated. Do a little seam sealing and shoot some bed liner in there and clean that right up for them. You can see there's a little rust working at the bottom of that back window seal that's going to need to be addressed. And you can see 4 holes, 2 above and 2 below the window. I'm guessing somebody had a gun rack back in the day that they put inside, and because that cab is single layer metal, since it's a removable roof, I think when they put their gun rack in, the holes went all the way through. So we'll have to see if we can't do something about that. And there is a hole right there in the roof where somebody's had a CB antenna at some point. So we'll have to find us a plug for that. Keep him from getting wet when you're riding down the road in the rain. But yeah, cool little vehicle. You'll be able to follow along with us as we begin to sort out the electrical demons and a few of the other issues and get this guy topped up. We interrupt this program to ask you to take a moment and like the video and go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It'll really help us maintain the channel and continue to provide you content that you find interesting to help you along your way as you're restoring square bodies and other old Chevrolet pickup trucks. And it continues to grow our community. Thank you for your support, and we now return you to your regularly scheduled program. So we made progress on the Scout. We worked through the electrical demons, and we now have working headlights. Discovered that the problem was a bad dimmer switch. For those of you who may not be old enough to remember it, vehicles of this age have a dimmer switch in the floor that you operate with your left foot. That dimmer switch had become defective. If you kicked it about 7 times, you'd get low beams and then no highs, and then you kick it 8 or 9 more times, and the low beams might come back on. Got a good deal on a new dimmer switch. It's a GM part that swaps out with the International part. They retrofit just fine. All the connectors line up, bolt holes line up. Put it in, bit, bam, boom. We've got lows, we've got highs. The passenger side front turn signal marker light gave us a little bit of a fit. It wasn't working. When we pulled the cover off of it, we discovered the bulb was smoked. Figured, oh, this is going to be easy. We changed the bulb. Not quite so much. Changed the bulb, still didn't have anything. Did some testing, found the connector where it goes from the body harness to the wiring on the light was bad. We replaced that. Then we got the parking light working dimly, not brightly, and no turn signal. Did some testing with some grounds and found that by supplying a ground from the body ground near the battery down to the light itself, it works completely fine. So we're just going to put an eyelet on there and establish a direct ground to it from a body ground and be done with that. Did a little detective work on why the gauges don't work, and the reason the speedometer doesn't work and the odometer doesn't work is there's no cable attached. I do it every time. Got a new set of gauges ordered, so we'll just attack that once parts arrive. And what you're looking at there is where the CB antenna hole was. They had done a tape patch that had fallen off. We found a couple fender plugs, found one the right size, and that'll take care of the roof.